Okay. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank everyone who watched my last video. I did get a comment, so things are improving on that front. So I want to thank you very much for taking your time and listen to what I have to say. Some of you, most of you don't find it important, but those of you who do, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So, getting to today is Monday, June 7th, and something happened late last week that I just want to touch on and kind of bring it to a bigger note. So, for you that don't know, Steven Crowder has actually returned. He was banned on YouTube. Well, not banned. He was his channel received multiple strikes. And why is that important? Well, up until recently, he really hadn't done anything. And then with COVID and the election, that was the other thing he kind of got touched on. I got ripped for. He made some videos, and it was quote unquote spreading misinformation, right? And so they, YouTube started taking him down. Twitter before that had actually taken him down multiple times. He got multiple bans without cause. So some of you don't know who he is, which is fine, and some of you do. But basically, he is a conservative comedian who hosts a show on YouTube. He also, podcasts. Who basically is probably the most popular conservative YouTuber out there, and this is his channel. And he gets, I think, one of the big streams he ever did was the night of the election. He had 15 million people watching. He had more people than your mainstream media places. Your CNN, your MSNBCs. So this man has a large voice. I personally love his content. Some of you hate it, I'm sure. Although I will say, I disagree with him fundamentally on a lot of things. He is a conservative Christian. So, we kind of butt heads on a few things. And he does have some bits that are a little, I will say risque, but I like that. His sketches tend to be bad. I'm sorry, not bad, but I'm not a fan of most of his sketches. I don't think he's a very good sketch writer. But, that all being said, why is this important? Well, it's important because if they kill him, then, what's left? As far as mainstream Republican thoughts. In the past we've heard about the people trying to, get Fox kicked off the news airs. Or the radio waves and all that shit. Like, they want to shut down Fox because it's a conservative platform. And then you get stuff like this where Steven Crowder's attacked and censored and he's built in redundancy at this point. He has his own website now, Mug Club. You can subscribe and you get extra content. He also has merch that you can buy to support him. And he's been demonetized on YouTube for years, so he doesn't really make money on YouTube at all. And he's been doing this for years now. So his revenue stream is not totally linked to YouTube, but YouTube being the biggest platform out there, along with Twitter and Facebook, if they remove this guy, then they've basically silenced his voice, and that's something we've seen a lot across the board. And this is something that affects mostly conservatives, and it's kind of disturbing because, as a libertarian, I support free speech. I support, individual rights is kind of the highest up there, and what we should be, is the pinnacle of like what we should fight for and what everything should be. And so, our First Amendment, freedom of speech. And people argue, well, YouTube's just a corporation, they can censor what they want. Okay, they can censor what they want. because they're not this public platform. Um, well, one, they are the public platform. Two, they're not held accountable for what people say. And then you also, there's other stuff out there on YouTube that I'm not going to go into, from other people that don't receive the same set of criticisms. Twitter, same thing. You have Ilhan Omar, who can go out and make anti-Semitic tweets. Granted, she's toned it down because a lot of people got mad at her, but they were still up there. They were still put up. I guarantee if I went and put up, some KKK, real nasty racist shit, it'd be taken down. I'd be struck down. My account would be banned. It would be almost instantly. So there's kind of a double standard when it comes to censorship, and it swings heavily to the right. So with him being back, hopefully he sticks around. Hopefully he makes it. But the other argument is, well, if you don't like the rules, just go to a different, build your own platform. It's easier said than done. Like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, these are the largest user bases. This is how you reach the most amount of people, right? And that took years and years and years of building. So if you start kicking people off these platforms, you're effectively silencing them. You're shutting down their First Amendment rights because you're muffling their voice. And if people want, they can still fight hard enough, and they'll get it out there. That's what's going to happen. And so it's just something that needs to be talked about more widely, and more people need to recognize that this is going on, and that we need to fight it. We need to stand up for free speech on individuals. Obviously, there are limits, like hate speech laws. I'm okay with that. We don't need to be spreading anti-Semitic or racist, Nazi, homophobic type propaganda and information. But that also being said, you have the right to speak your piece even if you're wrong. Like, go on YouTube. You can find tons of flat Earth videos. The Earth ain't flat, buddy. I'm sorry if you believe that. I know I didn't mean to burst your bubble. I guess spoiler alert. I guess I should have said something. Maybe I'll try and retroactively add something. Yeah, right. That'd be funny. Have a little spoiler alert. Big news popping. But you can still find all this other misinformation out there. But when it comes to certain topics, they're more sensitive. And you had people, particularly YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, taking down people. We talked about this the other day about Fauci emails, with the whole lab leak hypothesis that's come to light. Before, you couldn't talk about that. You were censored heavily. You were taken off these platforms, shut down immediately. But now it's fine. It's been deemed acceptable because, well, looks like you got that one wrong. But it shouldn't have been unacceptable to begin with. Even if you're wrong, you're allowed to be wrong. Like, that's the whole point of open discussion. Am I always right? No, fuck. I like having open discussion with people that can change my view and bring to light, things I didn't recognize, or, make me change my mind. And that's an important part of our civilization then, in our country. That's how things should be. Granted, it's hard to find people who want to engage in that these days because, microaggressions, you're hurting my feelings, shit like that. Like, people don't want to step out of their echo chamber, but there's some that do, and that stuff should be out there. That content should be available to them to do the research on. Like I said, I don't stop flat earthers from saying what they gotta say. I'll tell them, hey, you're wrong, but I don't think we should shut that down because that's goes against First Amendment rights, freedom of speech. And so, hopefully, this is the last time we ever have to talk about this, particularly in to do with Steven Crowder here. You know, he has multiple videos. He's been doing this for years and years and years, and they've gone back and retroactively, you know, pulled off some of his stuff. It's changed my mind, but you can see he's been touches on almost every topic, and he is fairly funny. And the fact that he's being censored, well, you have people like Dr. Fauci, who we know to this day from his emails was spreading falsehoods and misinformation. Yet he's out there, he's platformed. No one fights back against that. Or when you had, you know, when we banned Trump, right? We banned him for inciting violence, as we say, in accordance with this January 16th riots, or what do they call it? Insurrection. That's the word that the progressive socialists like to use a lot. But he was banned for inciting riots because he said, you know, fight like hell, you know, go and peacefully protest, and then you saw in his impeachment trial for this, his lawyers actually played I think it was like almost a little video, it was like 8 minutes, some shit, of all the times the progressive socialists have used similar language calls to violence. Yet none of them have ever been deplatformed or had voices kind of canceled. You know, they're still out there. You even had Maxine Waters with the whole Chauvin trial. Like, Modi said, where you gotta be more aggressive or something. If we don't get the guilty verdict, you know, it can be more confrontational. That's what it was. You know, she was out there basically calling for violence. Like, hey, if we don't convict this guy, you're gonna riot. We're gonna loot. We're gonna burn shit down like we've been doing for 2 years, or I'm sorry, for a year. It's just gonna keep going on and on and on. And this isn't the first time she's making inflammatory remarks. Anytime she can jump on a good race bait, you know, she's there for it. Her and Al Sharpton, you know, biggest pieces of shit. Well, some of the biggest pieces of shit and race baiting baiters that you'll ever see. But these people, they don't get deplatformed. They don't lose their voice, even though they've done the same things, you know, incited violence. Your flat earthers who speak your conspiracy theories, but, you know, you have your Steven Crowders, and the thing is, he sources all of his information. He literally provides sources in his description. So let's go. We're going to pause this real quick. Show more. So if you go to his website, where is... let's see. I hate myself. Yeah, whatever. Show all. Let's see. So here's your sources. Like, he literally sources all of his stuff for his videos on his own website. And it's not like he uses right-wing sources. You know, he literally uses the New York Times, Washington Post, CDC, you know, World Health Organization, all these usually left-wing or middle sources for all of his content. And you're like, whoa, like, when you have mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, stuff like that, Washington Post, who will write an article with an anonymous source, and then the New York Times will come behind them and do another article saying they verified their source using the same anonymous source, or using Washington Post as the source. Like, how does that happen? How does that get by? How is that acceptable? And these people still take it seriously, and they're given the same platforms. But this man here, who has literally sourced all of his material for every video he does, as a comedian you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't have to explain jokes and explain why they're okay to make out of fear of being shut down or censored. Like, that's not right. That's not how this should work. But so hopefully he sticks around. hopefully we don't have to have another video about this or go into any deeper details about all the censorship and bullshit, and that they just let it be. So I thank you all again for watching this video. Please, subscribe. Leave comments. I'm obviously interacting with the one person that commented last time. Reading back, I appreciate that support. Thank you very much. But I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. You have a good